To write cleaner and more maintainable code, let's learn how to add comments to your HTML documents. Comments are a powerful tool that helps you and other developers understand your code better. HTML comments are not displayed in the browser, but they can help document your HTML source code. You can add comments to your HTML source by using the following syntax. This is called an inline comment. Within these comment tags, you can add information about your code, such as explanations, reminders, or notes. For example, you can use comments to explain the purpose of certain HTML tags, such as the another text element example. However, if you move the closing comment tag to below this line of code, the comment will now encompass all 3 lines. This is called a multi-line comment. By using multi-line comments, you can effectively hide these lines of code from the browser, preventing them from being displayed or rendered on the web page. Now let's explore how to organize and present data effectively using HTML tables. Tables are a fundamental part of web development, allowing you to structure information in a clear and concise manner. To create a table, we'll begin with table tag. Within the table tag, we create a tr. It's short for table row tag. Inside this row, we use 3 th. It's short for table header tags, each defining a column header. These th tags are typically styled with bold or a larger font size. The text within each th tag will be company, contact, and country. This results in a table header row with 3 columns labeled accordingly. Following the table header row, which is defined by th tags, we begin adding rows of data. Each row is encapsulated within a tr tag. Inside each tr, we place td, it's short for table data, tags, each holding a specific piece of information corresponding to the column header defined above, such as Nusantara India for the company, Destri Putra for the contact, and Indonesia for the country. This structure allows for the organized presentation of tabular data. To help you visualize how the table is constructed, I've included simple CSS to add borders to each cell. This will make it easier to see how the table, tr, th, and td tags interact to form the table's grid, improving your understanding of table structure. If I remove the CSS styling from the head section, the table will appear without any borders around the cells. This might make it slightly harder for you to visually distinguish the individual cells and rows. To expand the table, we employ a straightforward approach. Adding more th or td tags within a single tr will increase the number of columns, while adding more tr tags will increase the number of rows. Consistency is key. Each tr must contain the same number of td tags as there are th tags in the header row to maintain a well-defined table structure. Okay, let's name this table as horizontal table. Now, let's proceed to create a vertical table. To create a vertical table in HTML, we begin with the table tag. Within this tag, we use tr tags to define each row of the table. Inside each tr row, we use th tags for table header cells and td tags for regular table data cells. For the th tags in the vertical table, I will use the same content names as the column headers in the previous horizontal table. Similarly, I will use the same data content for the td tags. This consistency in labeling will significantly improve readability and make it easier for you to understand and compare the information presented in both tables. Just like the horizontal table, if we need to add more rows to our vertical table, we simply add more tr tags, each containing the appropriate th and td tags within. We can then copy and paste this basic table structure and modify the content within the th and td tags as needed for our specific data. To create more complex table layouts, we can employ the colspan and rowspan attributes. These attributes provide the ability to merge cells, allowing us to effectively group or summarize information within our table. To create a header that spans multiple columns in our horizontal table, we can add a new tr tag before the existing table data and place a th tag within it. This th tag will have the colspan attribute, where the number within the quotes specifies the number of columns the cell should span. Additionally, the row span attribute allows a single cell to span across multiple rows vertically. We can apply the same concept to a vertical table, but instead of call span, we'll utilize the row span attribute within the th or td tags to merge cells vertically. We've now gained expertise in creating various tables, including more complex ones. I encourage you to continue practicing by creating even more intricate tables, perhaps inspired by examples you find in videos. Remember, learning provides a strong foundation, but consistent practice is key to mastering any skill. Now, let's explore another crucial HTML element, the form and input element. HTML forms are collections of interactive controls and various input types, such as text, numbers, email, password, radio buttons, checkboxes, buttons, etc., that collect user information. HTML forms are created by using the HTML form tag. All user input-related tags are placed inside the form tag. The form element has the following syntax, contains all necessary elements. You can place any input-related element inside it. For example, this tag is the container for all the elements that make up the form. It's like a box that holds all the form's components. Form elements. First input field. Label for equals fname. First name / label. This creates a visible label for the first name input field. The for equals fname attribute links this label to the input element with the ID fname. Input type equals text ID equals fname name equals fname value equals John. This creates a text input field for the user to enter their first name. Type equals text specifies that this field is for entering plain text. ID equals fname gives this input field a unique ID, fname, for styling and scripting purposes. Name equals fname. This attribute is crucial. When the form is submitted, the data entered in this field will be sent to the server with the name fname. Value equals John. This attribute sets a default value for the input field. When the page loads, the field will initially display John. Second input field. Label for equals name. Last name / label creates a label for the last name input field. Input type equals text ID equals name name equals name value equals do, similar to the first input field, but for entering the last name. Submit button. Input type equals submit value equals submit. This creates a button that, when clicked, triggers the submission of the form data. The value equals submit attribute sets the text that appears on the button. There is another example. This code creates a set of radio buttons for selecting a favorite programming language. Input type equals radio. This tag defines a radio button, which allows the user to select only one option from a group. ID equals HTML assigns a unique ID to the first radio button HTML. This ID is used by the for attribute in the corresponding label. Name equals fav_language. This attribute groups these radio buttons together. Only one radio button within this group can be selected at a time. Value equals HTML. This attribute specifies the value that will be submitted to the server if this particular radio button is selected. Label for equals HTML. HTML/label creates a label for the HTML radio button. The for equals HTML attribute links this label to the radio button with the matching ID. Similar structure. The subsequent lines of code create identical sets of radio buttons and labels for CSS and JavaScript. Submit button. Input type equals submit value equals submit. This creates a button that, when clicked, triggers the submission of the form data. The value equals submit attribute sets the text that appears on the button. In essence, this code snippet presents the user with three options: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The user can select only one of these options as their favorite language. This is a common way to create a set of mutually exclusive options in an HTML form. While this example demonstrates the use of checkboxes in HTML, Input type equals checkbox. This defines the element as a checkbox, allowing users to select multiple options from a list. ID attribute assigns a unique identifier to each checkbox, e.g., Vehicle 1, Vehicle 2, Vehicle 3. This ID is used by the corresponding label to link the label text to the checkbox. Name attribute. In this example, all checkboxes have the same name attribute Vehicle 1, Vehicle 2, Vehicle 3. This is generally not recommended, as it can lead to unexpected behavior when submitting the form data. To correctly handle multiple checkboxes, it's best to use the same name attribute for all checkboxes within a group. Value attribute specifies the value that will be submitted to the server if the checkbox is checked. Label tag creates a visible label for each checkbox, improving user experience and accessibility. The for attribute in the label links it to the corresponding checkbox's ID. And this example shows how forms are used in a real-world context. Form tag action equals /send_email.php. This attribute specifies that the form data will be sent to the /send_email.php script on the server for processing. Method equals post. This attribute indicates that the form data will be sent to the server using the HTTP post method. This is generally more secure than the get method, especially for sensitive information. Form elements. Label creates labels for each input field, making the form more user-friendly and accessible. The for attribute links each label to its corresponding input field by its ID. Input creates input fields for different types of data. Type equals text for entering text, such as the user's name and the email subject. Type equals email, specifically designed for entering email addresses. This input type often provides built-in validation to ensure the entered value is a valid email format. Required. This attribute makes the name and email fields mandatory. The user must enter values in these fields before the form can be submitted. Text area creates a multi-line text area for entering the message content. The rows and calls attributes control the initial dimensions of the text area. Input type equals submit. This creates a button that, when clicked, triggers the form submission. The value equals send email attribute sets the text that appears on the button. In essence, this code defines a simple contact form with fields for name, user's full name required; email, user's email address required; subject, subject of the email; message, user's message content. When the user fills in the form and clicks the Send Email button, the form data, name, email, subject, and message will be sent to the /send_email.php script on the server for further processing, such as sending the email to the recipient. We've now covered the fundamentals of tables, forms, and input elements. These foundational concepts are crucial for web development, equipping you with the skills to build dynamic and user-friendly web pages and laying the groundwork for creating more complex and interactive web applications. Building upon our knowledge of tables, forms, and input elements, our final lesson will introduce semantic HTML. I will see you guys in the next lesson.